Alright, so I'm going to show how to open up and disassemble this Mac Mini, late 2012 model A1347. So first what you want to do, as you can see, it has these little holes on the bottom. That's for your thumbs. And as you can see here, it has this mark. So the solid one means it's locked, and then this open one means it's open or unlocked. So first what you want to do, as you can see, there's this little white dot here. So you want to twist the cover so that it goes to the unlocked position. So use your thumbs and just twist it counterclockwise like that. Once you twist it all the way, then you can use your fingernail or a pry tool and then just lift the cover off just like this. All right. Once you do that, you're going to need some screwdrivers. So let's see, you're going to need, let's see, I haven't done one of these in a while, so I believe it's a T8. And let's see here. So yes, definitely T8, and then I believe also a T5. So first you'll use the T8 screwdriver and remove these two. All right. These screws are different sizes, so you want to kind of keep them in order. You don't want to get them all mixed up. All right, remove those two. After you remove those two, remove the two below it. Okay. That. There's a wire connected under here for the wireless antenna, so when you move this it's going to be a little bit tricky, but oh, this one's stuck for some reason. Let's try with the magnet. Okay, there we go. Alright, once you remove those two screws, you can move this thing out. It might be a little tough to lift up, so kind of I use this, or you can use like a small screwdriver in one of these holes, and then you can kind of use that to kind of pry and lift it. Alright, and then you got to pull it towards yourself. So once you lift it up past the speaker here, then you can kind of wiggle it out. Alright, and then you can pull it towards yourself. Oh, it's kind of dusty here, so I'm going to have to clean this. Okay. So again, there's the antenna connected here, so be careful. I like to kind of just leave it connected, but eventually we'll have to disconnect that. All right. Looks like this one they put an adhesive. Okay, so you have to lift this little cover here. There's a black plastic cover. Normally I don't see that, but yeah, once you lift that, you can see the tail of the antenna. Just pull it up. Okay. So pull the tail of the antenna up, and it should release just like this. To put it back, you just line up this circle part back on and then push it straight down. Okay, so got that off. Okay. Once you got that antenna out, you'll want to remove the fan here. So I believe that's T5, right? Let me see if it's slightly larger. Okay, these aren't T5 actually, they're T6 screws. So you'll want to use a T6 screwdriver and remove these screws. Okay. Alright, so remove those two, and then there's one more here. I think this screw actually stays in place. It stays in the fan, so you don't need to take it out. Then you can lift this up. Alright, and you got the connector here. So to remove these connectors, what you want to do is get as close to the connector as possible, and then pry up from the back. Okay, just like this. Works best if you use like your fingernails. These cables are a little bit tricky to remove, so be careful. You don't want to damage them, so just kind of wiggle it. Sometimes you gotta like twist it over to one side, so try doing left and right. For this kind of thing, you kind of want to use your fingernails, not pry tools, so you can get a better feel of how much force you're putting into it, so you can feel that if you're about to break the plastic or not. But if you don't want to wait, then you can try it with pry tools, but just be careful. Okay, so in here you can see the RAM. Oh, looks like you can actually already see the hard drive here and access it. So this model, oh, I guess I do need to lift it anyways. Okay, so we'll take out the RAM and I'll show you. There's a 2 gig stick. PC3 12800S, so that's the type of RAM you'll want to replace it. Okay, so if you want, you can upgrade this. I believe you can go up to 16 gigs, but make sure you get the same speed or it's not going to work. Okay, the RAM I'm actually going to leave in there because I don't need to remove that to do what I'm doing. I'm planning, the customer wanted me to upgrade this to an SSD. Okay, so now that we got that, we'll have to remove this screw. Alright, these are all T6, so just remember that. Alright, and then there's one screw down here. Okay, so I believe those are all the screws. The one difficult part is removing this cable here. What I use to do that is a bent needle. So I don't know if you've seen in my other videos, but I got this little needle and I just bent it myself with some pliers. So this makes it easier. I can stick the tool underneath the wire, and then from underneath the wire I can kind of pop it up. So just like that, you get the one corner up. Once you get the one corner up, you can go with your fingernail or pry tool. Okay. You can also try this with a thin pry tool or just a regular needle. You don't have to have a bent one, but the bent one helps a little bit. Alright, so now you got that. Now we got to remove this little cover here, I believe. So it swings out from the top here, and then you swing it out this way, okay? So these pieces are all kind of dusty, so I'm going to clean them up. I just use a toothbrush to clean these things. Alright, if you're going to use a toothbrush, don't use one that you stick in your mouth. Okay, so the hard drive, actually, I believe you can remove it already with this cable. But I'm going to just remove the whole motherboard because it's going to be tough to do it that way. So to remove the hard drive, what you want, some people get a special tool to do this, but I just use the screwdriver. So let's see, what I do is I'll take like the T8 and maybe another similar size T9 or T10. Alright, ones that can fit perfectly in these little holes, the silver colored ones. Alright, and then when you get that, you can use your palms to kind of push against the silver part, and make sure you're not pushing against the black, this black part, because this whole tray will slide out. So what you want to do, or if you can't, what you can do is you can just use one screwdriver, and then you can hold it here on the back, and then pull forward. Okay, so once you get it to pop out a tiny bit, so I don't know if you can see, but this popped out a little bit, then go to the other side and do the same thing. Pull it slightly, it'll pop out more, go back to the other side, pull it again, and you'll see. Oh, also disconnect the hard drive cable. Okay, so just keep pulling this, switching from one side to the other. Alright, and then you'll get this part coming out. Once you get that coming out, you can disconnect the the power supply connector here. So it has a small lip that I use my fingernail, and then you can kind of pry it. It will be a little tough, so if you can't do it that way, you can try and just grab the wire and then just wiggle it. Just slowly wiggle the wire back and forth, and it'll come out just like that. Okay, there you go. So then you can slide this whole tray out. It's pretty dusty inside, so I'm gonna have to clean that up as well. So here you can see there's a antenna wire here that goes all the way up here. Alright, so the wireless antenna is actually this piece, and the wire actually goes all the way along here to plug into the wireless card up here. Alright, so the wireless card is connected here. If you need to replace that for some reason, there's the two screws. Alright, and it looks like there's a connector here that you can pop off. I'm not going to pop that out because I don't need to change all that stuff. But this connector basically pops up just like the hard drive connector. Okay. I try not to do too much additional stuff just in case, because there's always a slight risk that things can go wrong. So if you don't need to take certain pieces out, try to avoid doing it if you don't need to. Okay. So clean out all the dust. Jeez, that's pretty dusty. Okay, I might have to get my special air blowing thing. All right, then you got the CMOS battery here. So if you need to remove the CMOS battery, you can remove it there. All right. Now that the board's out, the hard drive should be easy to remove. Here we go. So this design, the hard drive's on top. You might not actually have to remove the motherboard, but I just removed it just so I can have a little bit extra room. It makes it a little bit easier. Wow, this hard drive's really dusty. Okay, and then there's this little adhesive strip here holding the connector in place. So you do have to peel that up. Some people will just cut it, but usually I'll use a needle and try and peel it up. So I'll use the needle I had earlier, get underneath, and then slowly peel underneath. Once I get enough of the adhesive up, I'll peel it with my fingernails. All right, just like this. All right, be careful with this connector, it is fragile. Okay, so once you do that, I like to use my fingernail between the sides here. There's a little gap, and then I can pull this out just like that. And that's how you get the hard drive out. So for the hard drive, you don't need to transfer this plastic sheet unless you're using another spinning drive, because this covers the exposed circuits. SSDs are completely sealed, so you don't need to worry about transferring over this piece of plastic, though you can transfer over this piece of tape just so the hard drive connector stays in place. All right, then to remove this, oops, we have to use the, I believe it's a T8. Let's see, oh, here we go. So to remove these two little things, you would use the T8 screwdriver, and you need to transfer these over to the new hard drive. Okay. So I think this model is actually, oh yeah, this model is actually designed with a dual hard drive setup. So a lot of times on the other models, there's actually a hard drive underneath on this piece, and you have to take out these screws here to slide this whole tray out. I'll actually show that in a bit. Let me set up the hard drive first. So here we got the SSD, okay. So again, we'll want to put the screws back in. All right. Hopefully I'm having this all within view of the camera. Okay. So just in case your hard drive is on the bottom tray, I'll show how to replace that as well. Okay, so there we go, we got that. So we'll reconnect the SATA connector. And again, since that tape was on there, I'm gonna put the tape back on this one. And that should hold it in place. Oops, I put it kind of crooked. So let's lift this tape back up. Okay, try and lay it flat. Good enough. Okay, so reattach that just so the connector doesn't accidentally like pop out or something if it gets knocked around. Though this model usually just sits on the ground, so it shouldn't get knocked around much. All right, let's get all that dust out. All right, so as I was saying, you'll want to remove these stuff as well. These will use a T6 screwdriver. So just take the two screws out here. All right, so there's one there, one here. Right, and then the one last semi-tricky part to remove the power supply is you have this little silver metal piece here. So this, you want to pull it back. All right, you slide this out. Oh, why is it stuck? That's weird. So this silver piece, you need to pull it out. I don't know why it's stuck, but normally you can just pull this thing out pretty easily. Okay, I'm probably gonna have to use pliers for this if it won't come out. Let's see. Normally this silver piece you could easily slide it out, but for some reason it's stuck. Let me get some pliers and see if I can pull it out with that. What did I do? My pliers are missing. Well, okay, give me a minute. Let me go see if I can find them. My pliers have gone missing, so I will have to just keep trying to pull it. That's sorry for that. Okay, so I will just, oh, okay, now it came out. Okay, so it should have came out easily like that. So here you can see there's these little clippy parts, and that's what holds it in place. All right, once you remove that, then you can twist this piece. So you twist it counterclockwise, I believe, yep. And after you do that, then you can actually slide this whole piece out. So instead of pulling the wires here, I like to use this little part where it was mounted with the screw to pull it forward. So let's see, it should just come out. There we go. And then this cable, all right. So that's how you remove the power supply. So if for some reason the power supply on yours broke, you can remove it. This cable is also separately replaceable if for some reason the cable part just broke. All right. And then here you have this tray. So normally this tray will also hold another hard drive or SSD in here. So usually by default, I would see the hard drive in this tray. So I'm actually surprised that they put the hard drive on top. So maybe somebody modified this before or worked on it and didn't put the stuff back properly. Okay, so I'm gonna put this all back now. So slide that back in from the top, all right? You don't need to slide it in from the front hole. Okay, then put the power supply back in, of course. Slide it in from the front. Okay, just like this. Make sure the wires don't get caught on anything. All right, make sure this stays aligned. All right, and then slide the power supply all the way in. All right, you can start putting back the screws, so put one there. Normally I don't show the whole reassembly process, but this one's slightly complicated, so I'll just do it anyways. All right, so now that we got that, hold the power supply in place so that it's aligned over the screw hole. All right, and then screw it in. All right, now that you got the two screws in, get this piece, again, twist it counterclockwise, and then you'll see a little groove. I don't know if you can see that, this groove up here, and then there's groove down there. There's actually two grooves at the bottom, but just worry about the groove towards the back. All right, and then once you get that in, twist it back in place, okay? So that way it's upright. All right, and then after you do that, put this little clip back in so it just goes underneath where this piece is twisted. Okay, how come it doesn't look completely aligned? There we go. So twist that. Make sure it gets aligned. If it's not aligned all the way, you might have to push it this way and then twist it. Okay, there we go. And then we'll slide this little clip back. It straddles this plastic piece up that twists. Okay, so just slide that back in. All right, there we go. Okay, so I don't know why now it comes out so easily. Maybe it hasn't been open in so long that it got stiffened up or something. All right, once you get that piece out, then you slide this back in, the motherboard or the logic board back in from the front. Okay. And then when you get that, you want to reconnect the power supply connector. All right. It's a little bit tricky to do this. Oops, I was putting it a little too high. All right. So do that, and then use your fingernail or a pry tool to kind of push it back. I like to use my fingernail because there's less risk of damaging anything. Alright, so once you got that connected, again, you probably didn't have to take this board out to remove the hard drive, so that's why I kind of have it just out slightly. So once you do that, then you can put the hard drive in. Alright. The tricky part with putting the hard drive in is getting these two little notches to line up. So if you can, I don't know if you can see, but back there, there's two holes. Oh yeah, there's two holes towards the top. So you have to be able to get that to go up there. So that's a little tricky. Sometimes you might have to flip the iMac or the Mac Mini upside down to get it into those slots. Okay, and you'll know it's in there because when you try and move it around, it will kind of stay in place. So here you can see it's like the back is hovering. If I push on it, it stays up. Okay, so once you got that, then you can push the whole motherboard back in. Watch for the clips and these little pads on the side because these will get caught. So you do have to kind of push them down to get this in. All right, same thing with this side. There's the clip. Okay, and then make sure that all the connectors that you pulled out stay on top. And then you can push the whole board in. All right, so there you go. And then reconnect this cable. I think this is a speaker cable. I didn't pay attention. Yeah, so push that cable back down and then push the hard drive cable back in as well. That's a little dusty, so I'll clean that as well in there. Okay, let's do that, line that up. Yeah, I think this is definitely missing like some kind of hard drive caddy because it shouldn't be just loose wiggling like this. All right, line it up. And push that connector down. There we go. So that connector is in place. All right, once you got that, put the screws back. So let's see here. We had this one screw. Okay, so we have to put this piece back first. Remember, this side goes in first, and then it curves around like this. Right? Make sure the screw holes line up. Then we'll put the one screw in here. Alright, and then let's see where, I always forget where that one screw goes. So these go this way, and it lines up like that. Okay, so the other screw looks like it goes here. Alright, so screw that in. Alright, and then put back the fan. It helps to reconnect this first because if not, it'll be difficult. So reconnect the fan first to the board. Okay, just like that. Make sure it's snapped and flat. All right, then we'll go back here. Tighten the screw a little bit. Usually I don't tighten the screw all the way like right away, so that way I can make sure all the screw holes are lined up. So tighten it a little bit. All right, after you tighten them all a little bit, pull the fan forward so it gets as close to the heatsink as possible, and then tighten it up. Just like that. Alright, now we just have to reconnect the antenna here. It's a little bit tricky with this plastic piece in place, but basically you have to rotate this in a weird way so that you can get the antenna over the hole properly. Okay. Make sure you get it lined up properly. After you do that, you can just push the antenna down. That's difficult to do with this plastic piece in the way. Let's see here. Okay, line it up and then push that down. All right, there we go. And then put the plastic piece back on top. And then the same way that it came out, you want to put it back. So this part of the cable was tucked underneath, so tuck it back underneath there. All right, and then slide it over. And then this part, you want to slide it. So this part, it has a piece of metal that goes underneath, so you want to make sure that piece goes under. And then the top part, it actually curves over, so it kind of sandwiches in between. So you want to make sure that the lower part is underneath and then the other part is above. All right, so there you go. If you can't do that, sometimes it helps to use a screwdriver to kind of help pull up the outer layer once you slide it in. All right, just like this. Okay, aligned properly. This is, to me, the hardest piece to put back. All right, so gotta make sure it lines up right. It's being a pain. So I have to lift it up and do it again. All right, make sure that piece goes under. Make sure that's on top. All right, lift this up. Okay. Oh, it's being kind of a pain. It's always difficult to line this up for some reason. So this side is in okay, but this side is having a problem. So there we go. Okay. So I have to use the screwdriver to lift it up so this part can go above the frame. Okay, once you get all of that, we'll switch back to the larger T10, I believe. Wait, T8, or it's T8, sorry, the T8 screwdriver. Then put these screws back in. All right. Then put the longer ones back in as well. Alright, sorry for wasting time trying to look for my pliers. I don't know what happened to them. I don't know if somebody borrowed them and didn't put them back. But yeah, anyways, that's how you replace the hard drive or SSD in there. And then after that, you just put this cover back on. Make sure it lines up to the unlock hole first. Okay, so get the white dot to match up with the hollow one. Okay. Once you do that, then you just twist it back over. There we go, and that's all there is to it. So hopefully this video helped you. If it did, please like and subscribe because that'll help me. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.